Well, I hope you've had a lovely Christmas. I certainly did. Happy New Year. And what better way to start the year with some brand new racing from Vortex F1 Racing League, of course, today. It is Australia, very lovely at this time of year where it's cold everywhere else. We get the lovely summer sun, which means temperatures high. Spirits high too. And we are in qualifying. Every driver given a chance to determine where they will start in the race that comes afterwards. First onto the track. As usual, Sly Suzuki navigating his way through turns 1 and 2. Moving left and right, more friction is more temperature, and temperature is grip. So it's all about preparation on the outlap today. A very technical circuit, close left and rights. And the track limits here, designated by a yellow line instead of the usual white, can catch out many drivers, especially in turns like this. So, Suzuki will be the first one to do a lap. The one behind him is the Mercedes of Vikings. So, going through the second DRS zone, the first DRS zone of the circuit, of which there are 2. It is a double detection point today, which means 2 DRS effects back to back. If you make the move during the first, then you'll still have DRS when you're ahead in the second. So, once again, Suzuki, who will ride on board with, making his way through Sector 3 now. And for the first lap of the session, it's the Haas that will lead us onto the timing sheets, down the main straight. Nice bit of build up to the timing line. Here, there we go, the timer starts. And into Sector 1. Braking extra late for turn 1. Lots of curb, maybe a little bit early on the brakes for Suzuki there. Bit safe, but as you need to be in the first lap. Very easy to invalidate on that turn as well. Don't go off the track. Misses the curb in turn 3. Hangs the car all the way to the right for the entry of turn 4. Nice and safe. Continues as is. Now the fast turn 6. Quick flick of the car. The rear of the car did look like it just wanted to snap out there. We navigated okay. Purple sector 1, of course. First one to do it. And unbeaten by Vikings, I believe. Never mind. Sector 1 does get beaten. The sector 2 is purple. There's 3 turns 9 and 10. Lots of curb there as well. You'll see that as a recurring theme. You can cut that very significantly. Now Ascari. Bit wide on the exit curb there. Bottoms out quite a bit. Now turns 13. Very, very easy to get wheel spin on the exit there if you're too aggressive on the throttle. And only the time will tell. It's a 16.184 for Suzuki. His second sector remains the fastest so far. It's Ben Arvey now. Rory coming in just behind Suzuki with a 16.28. And Thomas going third with a 17.1. What can Ben Arvey do? That's fourth for him, an 18 flat. And Buzz T, 19 flat. Dan W does an 18.1 to go P5. What about Majin? Goes P4 with a 17.3. So, lots of time disparity here. Of course, that will happen in the first lap. Nade does an 18.7, goes 8th. Bruno 7th with an 18.3. Wilco 8th with an 18.4. So, who has not done a lap just yet? Jan through the final sector now. Where will this place him? That's up in P5 for Jan 50. The Red Bull driver with a 17.6. Superman mid-lap as well in the kick Sauber, turning to Audi this year, but remains green in the meantime. Down to 25% on the battery, all the way down the back straight. As Ben Arvey and Onions Please both retire. Very difficult line through turn 10 there, not quite as much inside curb as you might want to take. Now through out to the final sector, the engine just sputtering a bit. That's P7 for Superman. So currently it's Suzuki with his first lap of the session. It still is our pole sitter, provisionally at least. Vikings hits the wall there in sector 1. And he's had some struggles so far. He had to abort his first lap. He's gone back out. It's not been easy. Suzuki now. His first one out before. And is straight back out again. Suzuki and Rory both on track at the same time. Very close to each other, in fact. These two, the closest together of anyone on the grid right now. Taking advantage of the runoff areas in turns 9 and 10 to try and keep the tyres nice and under control. slowing down to give himself some space. Now, through the final turn, and onto the main straight he goes, catapulting the lap. ERS burned. Throttle to the max. This time far more aggressive on the curb. There we go. Through Brabham and Jones. Much nicer line from the Haas. Into turn 3. Once again, gentle on throttle, trying not to overdo it. But now straight back on, and flat out through turns 5 and 6. And it's a 300th improvement in Sector 1, a personal best and a session best. So it beats Rory's Sector 1. It does only put 300ths in it though. Now 100th and 8 thousandths of a second. Too much aggression in turns 9 and 10, and that is invalid. Off the track goes Suzuki in the exit. And that means that lap will not count. So what about Rory? Rory is improving. It's a personal best Sector 1 and a purple Sector 2. Through turn 14 now. And over the line, it's a brand new pole position for Rory. A 10th and a bit improvement to go 300ths ahead of Suzuki on the timesheets. Thomas P3. Little Magin. Currently P4. Very, very close to Pesh. It's a personal best in the first sector. However, he's had a bit of a problem in Sector 2. That's 5 tenths too slow. At least compared to Rory. Now he has to be careful, because if there's cars in his way, towards the end of this lap he risks dirty air, where the turbulent air from the aerodynamics of the car ahead can ruin the downforce effect. Now across the final straight. It's an improvement for Magin. He goes to 16.8. So that's P3. Provisionally starting on that second row. So what about Viking? Yet to do a lap. Looks like he's going for it now. Yellow Sector 1, but at this point, the priority is just getting a lap done. Get yourself on the board, you'll be okay. Nice and clean line through turns 9 and 10. Not especially pushing it. Consistency is the name of the game here. Given that you only have 3 chances. Through turn 13, a little bit of a lock up on the inside tyre. Did halt the rotation halfway through the turn-in. A little bang of the exit wall in turn 14. And overall, that is P15 for Vikings with an 18.1. Any lap is better than no lap. Thomas does not have an answer to Magin going P3. There's a 16.8 himself. What about Northover? Finds himself in P7, the Alpine, throwing his car through turns 6, 7, then 8. DRS active down this back straight, all the way up to 328 kilometers an hour with the top speed there, just before braking. Doesn't quite wash wide on the exit of turn 10 like you'd expect to. So maybe a little bit under the limit in terms of speed carried. Now Ascari avoids being on that exit curve for too long, which is a very good idea as it's very bumpy. Now, from P7 to where goes the Alpine, all the way up to P5. And Suzuki, not giving any time for the session to start, goes straight back out again and is 600th faster than Rory. Not giving up is the Haas driver. Now 47 thousandths faster than Suzuki now. Good lines through turn 9 and 10. The curb can be difficult to navigate, especially with the bumping effect on this year's game. Now Ascari, flicking it in, doesn't quite hit the apex as deep as you can, but he looks like he's done okay. We'll come down to this. Bit of locking up in 13, but the car's rotated okay. Didn't quite get the car as over to the left as you might expect. And now the race down to the timing line. And it is a new pole position. Suzuki takes it away again. His final blow, as he's now used all of his sets of tyres, is a 16.106. Rory, on the other hand, enjoying his time, sat in his garage, waiting for the session to get a little bit closer to its end, and for the track to find itself a little bit warmer than otherwise. We followed Superman a little bit earlier. Well, here's his teammate, Sir Nade. The other Sauber. Going for his lap now. Currently P13 with an 18.1. Very precise on the line into turn 1. Burning out of the exit to try and keep the revs high. Battery down to 70% before we reach braking for turn 3. Nice and smooth on the entry. Goes for a bit of a shallower line into turn 4 to get throttled down just a little bit earlier. We'll see how it treats him. It's a personal best sector 1 for him, and it's a spin through turn 7. Unfortunate there, just a little bit too much curb. That means that lap won't be very useful. And Pesh improves by 2/10. From a 17.3 to a 17.1. Doesn't quite improve on the leaderboard, however. Northover holds his place in P5 with a 17 flat exactly. And Rory now on an outlap. A little bit of grass on the tyre. Hopefully that doesn't have any long-term impact. And he'll be aware that if he doesn't improve by that half a tenth, then the pole position is lost. We tried putting the brakes on at the same time as the throttle just to get some temperature in to the both of them. And it's now. If you clear your head and you simply move to the pedals, turn 1 and 2, all the way over the curbs, but not too much. Turn 3. Not quite on the limit through the exit of turn 4 there. You can see on the telemetry at the bottom, he wasn't very much on throttle. He's improved by 100th through sector 1 on Suzuki. So it's a purple sector 1, session best. And it's 600ths when we reach turn 9. Over turn 10. Very aggressive on the curbs, but he's got away with it. And it's now turn 11. A much more aggressive turn in for Rory than Suzuki. Is that where the time has gone? He clips the inside curb of turn 12. An absolutely perfect line. Clips the apex perfectly of turn 13. Car all the way to the left. Then back over to the right. DRS active. And it looks absolutely beautiful from Rory, and yes it is. It's a 10th improvement for him. And that's a provisional pole. An absolutely beautiful lap from the V-Carb. Has found himself starting at the front. Northover has a 5-place grid penalty now after a collision with Dan Richards. And as you can see, most drivers now gearing up for their final lap. Thomas is already on it, however. The line through turn 2 wasn't great, but it can be sacrificed. Off the track he goes on the exit of turn 7. That lap will not count, unfortunately. And now north over. Currently on a 17 flat, but to get anywhere higher than that, he'll have to improve by around a tenth and a half. The Alpine. Through turn 5. On the sector timer. Improves, but is still, to be fair, only a tenth and a half slower than the lap that Rory did. A very good sector 1 for North. But the line here is all that matters through turns 9 and 10. It's very wide on the exit. Thomas has retired, given up on his lap, so he'll stay with a 16.8. North over, having a bit of a problem with turning into turn 11. Too much on the brakes. Car didn't want to turn. Now turn 13, lots of curb and lots of rotation. Is it overall an improvement? We'll have to see. It is indeed, but it's not enough. By a hundredth or so, but it simply doesn't gain him any more positions. What about Lil Majin? No improvement for the Ferrari, who stays P3 on the starting order. Buzz T now has found the checkered flag himself, and Nade finds himself the only driver yet to take the checkered flag or come into the pits. Will simply wait. So, pole position, after a very close battle, goes to Rory. Suzuki will start just next to him, with Majin, the Ferrari we see now, just behind them in third, waiting for them to trip up. As Nade comes into the pits. And that brings our session to a close. So our starting order for the Australian Grand Prix: Rory up in front, Suzuki behind him, then Majin, then Thomas, North over in 5th, Pesh 6th, Bruno in 7th, Dan W 8th, North 9th, Jan 50 in 10th, Vikings, the Mercedes finding himself in 11th after a rocky start, Superman in 12th with the Sauber, Ben 13th in the Merc, Buzz T 14th, McLaren, Sir Nade, the other Sauber in 15th, Wilco 16th, Onions 17th, and Dan Richards 18th. I believe Onions and Dan may have simply chosen not to do a lap for the sake of their own challenge. Starting from the back, seeing how far they can take it. And it's now that we're given just a few minutes for the drivers to prepare. We'll be going in 2 minutes' time. And any minute now, we'll be taking the cars across the line. And here we go. The formation lap begins, which gives us a chance to look at the tyres that these drivers have chosen. As you can see, bit of a split across the field. The majority going for those medium yellow wall tyres, while Magin, Pesh, Northover, Vikings, Buzz T and Nade and Dan Richards at the back have all started on the hard compound tyre. We'll just do one lap with these tyres, staying in these positions to warm them up for the race begin. But it's Rory. Earned pole by a 10th just minutes ago. And this is what he's earned. He gets to dictate the pace of this formation lap, while everyone else is forced to follow. It does also mean, however, he'll be sat on the grid, his tyres only getting colder, while the rest park up. So the front two on the same tyre, and look to have very similar pace. But the problem is, going side by side into turn one can often be very difficult around the Melbourne circuit. It's a very fast right-hander. And I can only hope that it stays relatively clean as we make our way through it. And here we are, the drivers finding their places. As we wait for the final Alpine at the back. Bring the car to a stop. And here we are. Every driver ready. We're all watching the same thing. It's those red lights. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 5. We wait. When they go out, we go too. And away goes the Australian Grand Prix. Rory in the lead. Has got himself an okay start. And there's a Mercedes in the back. It's Vikings has sent himself spinning into the wall off the start. How is the grid handling turn one? Thomas is finding himself under attack from Magin now. Magin has overtaken into turn one. 3 wide go Dan, Bruno and Jan through turn 3. Incidents across the board. Bruno finds himself having a little bit of a spat with Northover, who finds himself into the wall as well. Wing damage for all. And now around the outside goes Onions, please. He started in 17th. He's now in 9th after 2 sectors of this race. So Onions not finding it difficult at all to find his way through that field. And Suzuki and Rory stuck like glue in first and second. And soon DRS will be active on this lap. As you can see, DRS enabled. Rory takes fastest lap. The question of defending against Suzuki is never an easy one. As we have a yellow flag in sector 3 for a Mercedes. As Vikings comes into the pits, as does Dan Richards. The both of them for brand new wings after end plate damage. end plate damage and some new tyres. Northover retires the Alpine, leaving us after lap 1. But it's Suzuki now with DRS and battery to use round the outside into turn 9. He's got the line right and through goes the Haas. A warning for him though as he went off the track on the exit. He's got DRS but no battery to defend with. And Rory sticks it up the inside into turn 11. Suzuki touches the gravel. And that's his top speed ruined. They both turn in. And off the track they go. The both of them finding themselves into the gravel. Suzuki and Rory. And there's another incident. Bruno goes into Ben Harvey in turn 13. Incidents everywhere down the main straight. Nade, Superman, and Rory. As we have a yellow flag turns green. It's Rory, who was our race leader, has had an incident. Nade goes round the outside of Superman into turn 3. The two Saubers swap around. But now it's Thomas leading our race from the McLaren. We've had calls for the referee. And I have a feeling the FIA may feel similar. A very, very contentious one there. As Onions and Idle North swap around. Onions trying to recover. But Thomas out of DRS of Lil Majin. And Pesh, all the way in third, has DRS where Majin doesn't. But not enough battery to back it up quite yet. Onions forced to P5 now. And Rory, who was first, down to P8. The two drivers came off different amounts of disadvantaged. And Rory doing what he can to be consistent. And Onions now finds himself neck and neck with Dan W into turn 9. And he's going for it. Fueled by the rage of having lost that many positions. He now hunts down Pesh. Majin recovers to within DRS zone of Thomas. The Ferrari will have the advantage of its rear wing opening this time around. But of course you have to manage the tyres. Push too hard and you'll lose control of them. Suzuki takes the fastest lap from P13. I believe I got the two houses mixed up earlier. Onions started from P17 and is up in P4. The other house that was involved in the incident was Suzuki, who's now in 13th. Rory, on the other hand, up in 8th. Superman gets our first 3-second penalty of the race. That's 3 track limits warnings, which will be applied to the end. And now the fight for the lead is between Majin and Thomas. We have a yellow flag for a Sauber. And it's Superman off in turn 9. Is there wing damage? There is not. He's got away with that relatively lightly. meantime, Majin stays behind, unable to find his way past. Well, Onions only closes in on the leading train, having started at the back in lap 6. He's found the leading DRS train. This is where DRS is most used. But Majin doesn't find himself in a position where he can really close in. Maybe now, there's a second DRS zone, but he's gotten too wide. He's got a warning. It'll ruin his top speed, and any speed he carried out of that corner, no move is made. As Idle North flies past Dan W, and Pesh is overtaken by Onions. Onions now finding himself in a podium spot. Majin has a little bit of a difficult turn 1 there. The dirty air from the McLaren ahead having its impact now. As Thomas has a bit of a slide, the delta falls by a few tenths. And if there's any better time to make a move, it's now. Thomas makes another mistake on the exit of turn 7. And around goes Lil Majin. North and Dan W get 3-second penalties for going off the track. Meanwhile, Majin, the Ferrari, he started on hards and he's now in the lead. We have some questionable things going on there. Suzuki through on Buzz T. Thomas and Onions are side by side now. Onions on the inside of turn 12. And Thomas falls in behind. Which means Onions Please, who started in 17th place. I cannot say this enough. Who started at the back, has found himself in 2nd. Thomas deciding not to go for a move there, but to play it a bit safer. Majin, who's in the lead on the hard tyres. Is safe from their DRS by 7 tenths. He has to build himself a little bit of a gap here. And soon the medium tyres will start to struggle. We have a yellow flag for a Mercedes. As Vikings, I believe, had a little bit of an incident coming out of the final turn. But no wing damage there. It's all okay. Imagine 1.9 seconds ahead of Onions Please. But this DRS train does not stop. Nade and Dan W, Nade and Buzz T actually, swap around. As Dan W and Suzuki come into the pits. Lap 9, and they are getting rid of the tyres they had before. Thomas almost losing sight of Onions there. Well, Majin stays comfortable. By now, the medium tyres must be degrading to the point that Majin has the advantage. You can see how well he's looking after these tyres, nice and smooth through turns 9 and 10. That gap now builds to 2.1 seconds. Bit of a slide on the exit there for Majin. And every mistake against Onions will count. He will take advantage, and that's 3 tenths lost in that one corner alone. Don't let the pressure get to you. There's now 1.6 seconds. Onions comes into the pit lane. We said those tyres might just be dead. And that's our confirmation. He's had enough. Hard tyres it is for him now. And Suzuki, the man who started second. How the mighty fall. Finds himself in 13th. He, of course, has pit stopped, which means his net position may be a little bit higher than this. It's a bit of a lonely race for him for now. It's Pesh. Thomas. Fight away for second place. Of course, ignoring the pit stops. But Majin continues nice and comfortably out at the front. And Suzuki, once again, was the previous fastest lap holder. Now has it back. All the way from P11, he's grinding the fastest laps of anyone else on the track. You can see him just slightly catching up to Dan W in 10th. A little bit of a top speed difference there. And Onions, who's already used his first pit stop, finds himself stuck behind Nade. And with DRS down the main straight, Onions please. Back to 4th place as Idle North and Rory both come in for some new tyres. Most of the grid now on the white-walled hard tyre. Ben Arby in 7th, sticking out on these 11-lap-old mediums, while Majin pulls away at the front. 4.1 seconds between him and anyone else. And Onions now on the back of Buzz T, flying back through the field. These brand new hard tyres, so much better than the ones most started on. So it's Onions back to a podium position with 9-lap newer tyres. But of course, Majin, no pit stop to be seen for him, nor Pesh, nor Buzz T, nor Nade. Nade just makes a little bit of contact with the exit wall of turn 14. And finally, Ben Arvey gives up on the medium tyres he started with. And into 12th he goes. Thomas now, reaching Nade himself. McLaren burning the battery. Doesn't make that one look very difficult at all. And Ben Harvey, down in P13, gets a 3-second penalty. He's the 4th driver to receive that this race. And while Onions closes in, Majin closes out. It's 5 seconds between him and Pesh RB. He's only taking advantage of the race he has been handed. Superman with a 3-second penalty, another one, making that 6 total for him. As our pole sitter Rory, P9, in a race of his own after the fateful crash between him and Suzuki. Thomas now has already flown past Nade. It's time for Papaya to overtake Papaya. Buzz T makes that very easy for him. And through he goes. Bruno gets a 10-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. The Red Bull won't be happy with that one. But Onions keeps absolutely chipping away at this time delta here. It was 3.5 seconds, just one turn ago. Down to 2.7, 2.6. It keeps on falling. Dan W on the back of Nade. Rory takes away Suzuki's fastest lap. Dan W so close to the back of Nade Sauber. It's a 10th and a half, little bit of a slide there. Now through turn 6, this is the chance many others have taken before. Around the outside he goes. And with DRS, the outside turns into the inside. And turn 9 is nice and clear. As Onions now finds himself overtaking Pesh down the main straight for second place. And now it's 6.1 seconds between him and Majin. Majin hasn't pitted, Onions has. And you can see it in the delta, 5.4 seconds. Down to 5.1. 5.0, 4.9. Majin's days are numbered on the track. But that number is up to him. It's up to him whether or not he decides to finally pit stop and go to the end on some medium tyres. Or if he'll stick it out and go hit now or hit later. Do you try and squeeze more out of these hard tyres? His answer is yes. He lost 2 seconds for Onions in the second half of that lap. As Pesh RB comes into the pits. Imagine going for his 16th lap on these tyres. As the ghosted car of Bruno pays us a visit. You can see how much Magin's fighting these tyres now. Corrections for days. They simply will not stay put. Onions is now 2.4 seconds behind Dan Richards and Superman. Come into the pits for the final time. Most pitting now are going to the end. The gap, 1.5. Surely it's now, Magin. And yes, it is. The hard tyres have done enough. And with 12 laps to go, Magin comes in for that one-stop strategy. Of course, he will lose positions in the meantime. But if he's got the pace, he will recover on these tyres. Rory gets a 3-second penalty. A pole sitter who was hoping to recover has struggled enough. Oh, the Red Bull is in the wall. The ghosted Red Bull is in the wall. There's Buzz T. Down in 11th. It's 0.8 seconds to Ben Harvey. Which means to me, DRS. And there's no better time than when it's perfectly being offered to you. No battery burn though, not enough in the tank for the McLaren to find his way through. Jan 50-50 with a 3-second penalty. Goes off the track just too many times. The RS is disabled. We have a virtual safety car. I wish I could tell you why. But I believe there's been an incident of some sort into the final sector. What this will do is give people who have not pitted a chance to do so, while not being inhibited as much. Most taking advantage. Dan, Jan, Idle North, Ben Harvey and Bruno all deeming it worth, as the VSC is now ending as quickly as it began. Vikings gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. But he's the only one. So, Magin's job is to recover on these tyres to reach the P1 that he had before. Meanwhile, Buzz T continues to chase Dan W down. That's his first warning there, going off the track on the exit of turn 10. When the tyres lose grip, it's easy to wash wide there. And Suzuki, in P3, gets his 3-second penalty for multiple track limits warnings. Of course, I mentioned at the very start of qualifying, the track being technical. And it means when we're pushing like this, you can see mistakes. And that's just what's happening now. Through turn 3, Suzuki finds his way through on Thomas in the middle of the track. DRS helping him with that one, as Thomas struggling now with the line in turn 9 and 10. Magin slowly gaining some tenths on Rory. While Buzz T and Dan W get ever closer in every DRS zone. But for now, their order does not change. A little bit of a DRS queue behind him though, as Jan goes off the track in turn 11, giving Idle North P9. Of course, Idle North, Magin's teammate today. Just in cars, of course, it's realistic performance cars. So the Constructors' Championship is not defined by the cars we see. There's 4 cars, all within a second and a half of each other. As Idle North, round the outside, into turn 9. The Ferrari makes it work. While Buzz T, he's had his chance to get past Dan W, couldn't quite make it. And here we are now. Give the Ferrari a go. Down the main straight. Idle North on the inside. He brakes so late. He gives the space. And ultimately, there's not enough time for him to rotate and keep it clean. So he lets Dan W away with that one. Fakes a little dive bomb there. But his line is compromised through turn 4. And Onions is still in the lead, having started all the way in 17th. The only question for him is whether or not he'll be beaten by Magin, who was the one who was closest in Delta and strategy. It's up to the pace that Ferrari can pull now. Bearing in mind, he is gaining significantly on Rory. Only a few laps ago, this gap was 5.3 seconds. Now 1.8. Make that 1.6. The medium's absolutely flying for him right now. As Idle North trying to do what Buzz T couldn't and get past the lion that is Dan W in defense. But as you can see, battery conservation is becoming an issue. He's only on 6%. Now 8. And he's not close enough. Idle North struggling with maintaining the pace without burning that battery to an unusable point. And now the DRS is broken from Dan W to Idle North. Idle North no longer benefiting down the straights as Dan W gets his own 3-second penalty. Buzz T will be grateful for that, because as it stands, that would gain him 2 positions. More importantly, Majin, who we've kept an eye on a lot this race, who is gifted some great circumstances when Suzuki and Rory had an incident, and now on brand new tyres, he's storming back up. All he has to do is get within DRS of Rory, and he'll find his first step. It's 1.1 seconds between them now. It needs to be under 1. But the battery isn't looking very healthy for Majin. Something's wrong with the conservation there. He's just struggling to reach that milestone. And in the meantime, Idle North has found his wheels again. He's back to 0.5 seconds between him and Dan W. Dan W goes wide there into turn 7. And with DRS active, Idle North closes in. That's about as threatening as he can get. That's not the only move happening right now though, because Ben Arvey into turn 9 fancied himself a go on Nade. They were less than a tenth between them. And now there's end plate damage. The Mercedes, sorry, no longer intact. And that will affect his performance. But it may not have been his end plate. It is indeed Nade's end plate that we're missing. It's the Sauber's end plate that was flying when we went to look. So something's gone on there. And Majin, he was struggling a bit before, but here he is now. He's in P5. Has to stop behind Rory. Rory defended the inside well there. Majin couldn't quite find his space. But you can see Rory having so many problems with the tyres now. But Majin having similar problems. The mediums not hanging on well enough. He's got DRS, but it's not enough down the main straight to get him that position. We'll give it another look here. But as you'd expect, Rory using the battery he has too. Imagine now his chance round the outside. It's wheel to wheel between them through turn 9, now turn 10. The space is just about given. Rory does go wide though, hits the gravel, and that's the move made for Majin. Very close under high speed. as Magin is in 4th, but with only 2 laps to go. The question of making it to 1st may just be unanswerable. I think he was stuck behind Rory for just a little bit too long. And now it's Onions taking us across the line to start the final lap of this Australian Grand Prix. Onions, may I say again, who chose not to do a lap in qualifying, said, well, I'll see what I can do. And all the way from 17th has reached here, ignoring the ghost car that finds its way through. Onions is 4 seconds ahead of the pack, with no penalties, no issues, simply clean driving. And there we go, out of the final turn. It's Onions. There has not been a more deserved win in VFRL for a long time. Well done to him. And it's Thomas that takes P2 after penalties. Magin takes 3rd. Suzuki takes 4th. Rory 5th. Pole sitter in P2 putting themselves a little bit further down than they wanted. Pesh in 6th. A great result for him. Dan W held on in 7th for the longest time. And Buzz T behind him. Jan 50-50 in 9th, and Ben Harvey would be our 10th place finisher if not for the penalty attached to his name. So in reality it's Nade that takes our final point today. Idle North goes 11th, Ben Harvey 12th. And across the line comes Wilco, the Aston Martin. Superman behind him in 14th. Dan Richards, 15th. Tried to do the same thing as Onions. Didn't quite work as well. There were some ups and downs in terms of damage. Maybe some pace. It was a great try from Magin to try and take the win after he found himself leading. But ultimately, there's our podium for today. And our driver of the day was given to Onions. I could not agree more. Most overtakes was Onions too. Race winner, of course, Onions. Dan Richards took our fastest lap. And Pesh, our cleanest driver. In a race with loads of penalties, our finishing order is like so. Many drivers started, only 2 didn't finish. And Onions from 17th to 1st. An absolutely astonishing race for him. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday with our Equal Performance League then. Thank you very much.